So a warm welcome to everyone on this very quite cool evening in Melbourne for those that are watching online, and welcome to the Buddhist Society of Victoria here at the Buddha Loka Centre in East Malvern. So as usual, I'll just introduce myself for those who may not know me. I think quite a few people do now. So I am Ajahn Nissarano, and I'm the senior monk at Newbury Buddhist Monastery, and I ordained 24 years ago, it'll be 25, this Rains retreat with Ajahn Brahm in Perth. But I spent 13 and a half years in Sri Lanka, so I was sort of missing in action. But that was a very nice time. So now I'm based at Newbury Buddhist Monastery. So as usual, it's wonderful we have the opportunity to meditate together. It's really special because I'm sure many of you have probably missed that energy that you get from sitting together, meditating together. It's very, very supportive, and it's amazing. Even though we're not speaking or anything like that, it can be very, very helpful for the meditation. So great that we can do this again. Now that COVID is going down, there's still quite a few cases, aren't there? So we still have to be on the watch out. So the format as usual, we have an introduction to the meditation. I always like to have a theme, and I'll get on to that in a minute. And then we have a guided meditation for about 45 minutes. So I hope that's not too long for some people. Anybody here for the first time, for meditated before? You have, right. So we'll just see how you go with it. Being guided, it's much easier, I think. But just see how you go with it. And then we finish off with any questions, comments, complaints at the end of it. So that's good. Often at the end of it, there's no questions. And I think, wow, that's very good. Because when we don't have any questions at the end of a meditation, that means the mind has calmed down a bit. Because most of the time there's a lot of thinking going on. And that's when we start the meditation, we're aware of it. In daily life, we don't notice it so much. So often people say to me when they come here to meditate, oh, I can't meditate. I just think all the time. And I said, well, that's really what's going on all the time, actually. But we don't notice it until we come to a place like this and quieten the mind. Come to a quiet place and quieten the mind. We see what's going on. But, of course, today is, I should say, happy Vesak to you. Yeah. For some people that may be a bit confusing. Think, wow, what happy Vesak? Is this a secret term or whatever, code word? But yesterday we had a Vesak ceremony here. And the Vesak ceremony, or celebration really, is the major celebration for the year in the Buddhist calendar, because it celebrates the Buddha's birth, his awakening or enlightenment, and his passing away, or parinibbana, which is really economic, as I said yesterday. It's all on the full moon in May. So some of you may have noticed the moon tonight. Did you see it? Maybe through the clouds. I saw it last night. It was really, really, really big and full and clear. So, and of course, this is what? The most important event, of course, of Vesak is not really the birth, though without a birth there can't have been a Buddha to be. He wasn't the Buddha when he was born. It was through his practice of meditation, and through developing insight that he became the Buddha. And that transformed him from an ordinary human being to really the highest potential we have of any being, really, to have this incredible understanding of reality. And that's what a Buddha sees, reality. We all think we're seeing reality, but actually we're seeing it through lenses that distort what we're seeing. And those lenses, of course, often, they're very easy to see, some of them, to understand anyway. The lens of wanting to get things, desire, or wanting to get rid of things. Or thinking in terms of ourselves, what me and mine, I'm this, I'm that, identifying with it. So the Buddha was a very extraordinary being, but he was a human being, and we should remember that, because sometimes if we think of him as beyond the human, then we don't take him as an example. And of course he wanted us to take him as an example. In fact, he said, that talking about meditation, he said why he continues to practice meditation, because he didn't need to. But he said it's very pleasant to meditate. That was one thing. It's very pleasant, abiding for him. And of course he had very deep meditation. But also, he said, as out of compassion for future generations, as an example to future generations, that meditation is an important part of the path. Because sometimes you hear it today in Buddhist circles, some Buddhist circles, you don't need meditation to become awakened, to become enlightened. And of course, one can ask then, well, the Buddha seemed to use it and encourage it. So this is important that we see him as an example for us, someone who inspires us as well. So this is a very important thing. And of course, I didn't say it yesterday, but if people want to see the Buddha said that's possible to see the Buddha. But how? He said, if you want to see the Buddha, you see the Dhamma and you'll see the Buddha. So if even today, we can see the Buddha by understanding the Dhamma. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But of course it's understanding at a very, very deep level. It's having that deep, deep insight into the nature of reality, that all reality is based on impermanence, change, constant change, moment by moment, and also based on not being able to get things exactly as we want, unsatisfactoriness we call it in Buddhism, and also the fact that our lives, our minds and our bodies are processes. There's no permanent me, I or me in here. Character, personality, for sure, there are, but that's changing. And so this is what a Buddha sees. And when we see that, we can see the Buddha too. And of course, in another teaching he gave, he said, when we actually experience deep meditation, and he's talking about really deep, then this is a footprint of the Buddha. And so he talks about the footprints of the Buddha being these 4 deep meditations, the jhanas, and then the deep insights that transform our minds from ordinary mind to seeing clearly the nature of reality. So this is what a Buddha is about. And of course, one of the famous teachers in Thailand, Ajahn Chah, he said really until we see the Dhamma, until we understand the teachings, until we glimpse the nature of reality, we cannot really appreciate what the Buddha was about, what he was teaching, or what the Sangha who have realised his teaching, what they were about. So this is an important step, seeing the Dhamma. And of course, this is the first stage of enlightenment, isn't it? Seeing the Dhamma. So I was going to use as a theme for this evening, I like a theme that's reflecting on a teacher like the Buddha, how much we have benefited, well, many people hopefully have benefited from the teacher, from his teachings. It need not be just the Buddha, because some people may not be so familiar with the Buddha. It can be other teachers. And so this naturally, when we think of what benefit we've got, what we think of how much we owe to that teacher, how much gratitude, how much joy we feel. And these are very wholesome emotions that we can bring up and use in the meditation. So that will be the theme for this evening. And I know one of the talks that I listened to last year by Ajahn Brahm, I think most of you probably heard of Ajahn Brahm, and this talk was called Giving Freely. And he was talking about how, before he starts meditating, he brings to mind offering his meditation, this meditation, to the Buddha or to his teacher, Ajahn Chah. And that, he says, that gives him a lot of joy, gives him a lot of inspiration, and also thanks, to gratitude. And of course, that all hinges on, doesn't it? The fact that you feel great benefit, you feel that what you've received is very precious. So this is something that can really empower the meditation, so that we can, as it were, turbocharge the meditation with this feeling of joy or of gratitude, appreciation, and inspiration. So this is a theme that I will use this evening. And of course, there's lots of different offerings in Buddhism for offering to the Buddha or to a teacher. We have candles, incense, and we have food and water, things like that. Flowers, the flowers, of course, very beautiful. And you see that, at Vesak time, at this time of a celebration, you see all the flowers and you see the lanterns. Did you see the lanterns outside? Yes. And these are all part of the material offering to the Buddha. But the Buddha said, the way we really honour a teacher is not through these things. They're good. We can feel good about offering them to the Buddha or to a teacher, for sure. And that can be a very uplifting feeling. And also, often in Buddhist countries, in Sri Lanka for instance, people do that every day. And it has it's a routine that gives them a lot of happiness and a peace of mind and gives comfort when they do that. But of course the Buddha said, these are fine, but you really honour and pay respects to a teacher by practicing what they have taught. And he encouraged us to practice what he taught. And of course, what did he teach? The Noble Eightfold Path, And this is something that we can practice. And by doing that, then we are honouring the Buddha. We're repaying the Buddha. Because every teacher likes their student to get benefit from what they offer, whether it be a spiritual teacher, whether it be a teacher in a school, wherever, whatever setting it is. So, and of course, this evening we're focusing on offering through our meditation, whatever quality, whatever we experience in the meditation, offering that to the Buddha or to another teacher. And but of course, in Buddhism, there's a lot of other things we can offer in terms of practice. And that's, of course, giving is a very big practice in Buddhism, foundational really, as is, ethical behaviour too. And meditation, of course, this is a very important part of the Buddha's teaching, but it's part of the developing the mind in good qualities, wholesome qualities, and allowing those negative qualities to reduce, letting go of them. And when we develop good states of mind, it tends to let go of the negative states of mind anyway. So this is what we are doing. And of course, so this is a very useful thing. And the sorts of emotions that can come up that we can use in our meditation, of course, are joy and happiness. We call it piti sukha. And this is a very important ingredient for meditation. Because it's indispensable, an indispensable ingredient actually, because for the mind to settle down, for the mind to come together, it needs something that will attract it, like a magnet. And of course, our minds, all human beings' minds, all beings' minds really, are attracted by joy and happiness. And then when the mind settles down, it will settle down because of that joy and happiness. Who wants to go anywhere else when one's having a good time? And the Buddha talks about this natural process which we can start by, bringing up this gladness. We can do it in many different ways. This evening it's recollecting, thinking of a teacher, particularly the Buddha, who has given us so much, we feel so much benefit from, that feel so much inspiration from. And of course that gladness then becomes more intense, it becomes this joy. We call it rapture. And that can be experienced over the body, tingling or waves of energy that feel very physical, but obviously coming from the mind, because we don't feel like that in everyday life generally. And then from that, then the mind, then the body and the mind becoming very tranquil, very peaceful, and people can often feel like they're not feeling the body. You know, it feels very light, or it feels like they don't notice it really. And from that experience of being free of the body, then happiness can arise. And the Buddha says, when that happiness is there, the mind will just go for it. It will go for it, because that's the food for the mind, is happiness and joy. All this anger and irritation, annoyance and jealousies and all this is poison for the mind really, and it gives us no energy. It gives us sort of energy of a negative energy which just burns us. We're seeing plenty of that at the moment in the world. And so we have to, by developing this meditation, we're contributing to the positive forces in the world, more peace in the world. When we have peace, then this is helping the whole of the world. So as I mentioned, some of the emotions we can develop in the meditation, gratitude of course, joy, respect is very nice too, because someone that inspires us, whether it be the Buddha or another teacher, we have got a lot of respect for them. And this is something that's very, very useful for us to develop. This quality of respect is very wholesome, very positive emotion. It's not common in the West. Not common. We don't respect very easily. I often, because as a Buddhist monk, I see people come and pay respects to me. That means that they bow to me. And if they do it with a very good heart, I think, wow, that's great for them. They may not know me at all, so this is something that's really for the person that has that respect. And mostly in the West, in the world now, we're suspicious. We're looking for flaws and the hidden agenda. So respect is something that's very difficult for us to find. And of course, when we have a figure like the Buddha, someone that was really extraordinary, it's much easier to have respect, because such a being is, of course, sort of the highest potential of a human being in terms of purity, in terms of wisdom, in terms of kindness, compassion, all these qualities. It's very easy with somebody like that. And of course, in the meditation too, one of the qualities that will come up, one of the qualities of the Buddha that's very contagious, you see it with the Buddha statues, peacefulness. Just look at some of these Buddha statues. I don't know about this one, whether we feel peaceful, but many of them, you get this sort of sense of peace and a sense of inner happiness, inner contentment. So these are all qualities that can come up when we contemplate a teacher like the Buddha or another teacher. And so they are the sorts of things that we can bring up in this meditation. It may occur, and we can do the guided meditation now. We can start in a minute. And these, as I say, I like to emphasize bringing up a positive emotion, because what we can do with it is infuse the breath, the meditation object we're using this evening, the breath, usually the breath, with this feeling. And that makes it much more attractive, because for most of us, the initial difficulty is to sustain interest in the breath. The breath's not exciting, not particularly interesting, so we're doing a bit of interior decoration. We're making it beautiful by infusing this feeling of, say, gratitude or appreciation or peace. And then, when the mind can stay with the breath, then very naturally this process that I mentioned of gladness, of joy, of tranquility, of happiness, and then the mind coming together will happen by itself. So I call it a primer or a starter for the meditation. And in the meditation, if you've started with a feeling, with gratitude or whatever, with the breath, and the mind starts to get more and more peaceful, more and more still, just be with whatever you're experiencing then, the peace, the stillness. That becomes our object in the meditation. And so we can see what happens this evening, all right? So just have, yep. So first of all, we can just make ourselves comfortable on the cushion, on the chair. You don't have to sit on the floor, by the way. You can sit on chairs, there's no problem. Or these stools, there's stools around too, actually. So you're welcome to sit on whatever you wish. And we can begin by just closing the eyes and coming into the present moment. Leaving the past and the future with our shoes at the door. And we can be free in the present moment. Not concerned with what's happened today or what might happen this evening or tomorrow. And we can become aware of the body and make any adjustments we need, whether it be to feel whether the head is aligned over the shoulders, feels balanced, and whether the shoulders are balanced over the hips, and the legs are comfortable too. If our body isn't comfortable, it will make us know it. And the meditation will be concerned with that. So good to check out what is comfortable. And now we can relax the body mentally, starting with the head, the top of the head, the back of the head, and the sides of the head. Soothing these areas, relaxing them. And moving our attention to the forehead, and relaxing the forehead, allowing any wrinkles to relax. Moving our attention to the eyes, and the cheeks of the face, and around the mouth, soothing them. Giving this warm, kind attention. They do a lot of work. And bringing to mind the neck, all around the neck, and giving it this mental massage, soothing it, relaxing it. Now we can bring to mind the right shoulder, starting at the neck and moving along the right shoulder. and giving the right shoulder a mental massage, allowing any tensions, any feeling of burdens to relax, letting go of them. And now bringing to mind the right arm, starting at the top of the arm and moving our attention all around the arm to include the elbow, the wrist, hand and fingers, soothing them, giving this mental massage. Now bringing to mind the left shoulder, starting at the neck and moving our attention along the left shoulder. This kind, relaxing, warm attention, easing any tension, any painful areas. Now bringing to mind the left arm and moving our attention slowly down the left arm, all around, to include the elbow, the wrist, hand and fingers, soothing them and relaxing them. Now bringing to mind the back, starting below the shoulders and moving our attention slowly down the back, soothing and mentally massaging the back. Allowing any tension, any strain, any soreness to reduce, to relax. And now we can bring to mind the front of the body, starting just below the shoulders and moving our attention down the front of the body to include the chest, diaphragm, stomach and abdomen. Giving the front of the body this mental massage, this kind attention. And now bringing to mind the right leg, starting at the top of the right leg and moving our attention slowly down the right leg to include the knee, ankle, foot and toes, giving the right leg this mental massage. And now we can bring to mind the left leg, starting at the top of the left leg and moving our attention down the left leg all around to include the knee, ankle, foot and toes with this warm, kind, relaxing attention. Now we can become aware of the whole body, just sitting here in the present moment, at ease, relaxed. And now we can visualize the full moon of May and the Buddha sitting below the Bodhi tree. This is the tree he was enlightened under. In the silvery moonlight, not far from a broad river, the Nissarano river, in the evening. And we can see the peaceful quality of the Buddha. You can feel the peaceful quality of the Buddha and maybe see this smile of inner contentment. And we can come near and bow down. Usually we bow 3 times, and sit in meditation near the Buddha. And in our minds we can dedicate or offer this meditation to the Buddha or to another teacher. You can offer every moment of awareness. You can offer every breath that we're aware of, and every wholesome, positive emotion, feeling that comes up. And we can just allow a space just to see if a feeling does come up when we offer to the Buddha or another important spiritual friend in our lives. Maybe a feeling of a joy or thanks, appreciation, inspiration, faith. We can get in contact with whatever we feel if a feeling comes up for us. And as we breathe in and breathe out, we can infuse the breath with this feeling, whether it be of joy, of gratefulness, of thanks, of respect or joy, whatever feeling we feel, we can combine it with the breath coming in and going out. And if the mind wanders off, we can bring up that image of the Buddha or another teacher to bring up this feeling again and to infuse the breath with it. And now, as we're coming closer towards the end of the meditation, we can reflect on what feelings, what we have experienced, whether we felt peaceful, stillness, or this feeling of joy or lightness, thankfulness, whatever the feeling we have experienced. And we can offer this to the Buddha, dedicate it to him or another teacher. Like flowers in front of the Buddha statue at a time like this, Vesak. And then we can radiate or share this feeling, whatever feelings, whatever experiences we've had in the meditation, with everyone here, sharing it, wishing them well, wishing them peace, contentment, stillness and silence in the mind. And then we can radiate this further in ever-widening circles around wherever we find ourselves. Those listening online, watching online, listening online. In ever-widening circles, this feeling, sharing it, this peacefulness, this joy, this contentedness, stillness. Sharing it with all the beings, the human beings, the animals, the unseen beings, all beings, until we cover the entire earth and all other realms of existence. Particularly beings in places where there are war or unrest, like the Ukraine, like Sri Lanka, and other places. Now we can just reflect on the meditation for a few moments, just reflecting how we feel now. Is it different from when we started? Did we experience this sort of sense of joy or appreciation, thanks, peace, stillness, any of these qualities of the mind as a gift for the Buddha or another teacher? And what caused these feelings to arise? What triggered them? And we can make an aspiration to keep the Buddha or another teacher in mind in our hearts, to trigger, to bring up these feelings, these positive emotions in our daily life. Which we can remember at any time during the day and bring up those feelings. And now I will ring the bell 3 times, and on the 3rd time, if you like to come out of meditation, if you wish, can continue if you'd like to as well. So for those who'd like to come out of meditation, we can open our eyes and move the body to make ourselves more comfortable. There we are, and the lights will come on soon, so oh, there we are. So that was a guided meditation dedicated to the Buddha or another teacher in order to give energy to our meditation and bring up this joy or gratitude, thanks, all these positive emotions that we can use with the meditation to make it more interesting for the mind, and then for the mind to, as it were, go deeper into the meditation. And as I mentioned before, if you know the mind gets very still, very peaceful, just stay with that, whatever we're experiencing. We're not controlling the meditation, not forcing the meditation. We're allowing these natural feelings to come up and for the mind to really settle and become peaceful, because it's a mind that becomes very peaceful and settled that lets go of the negative aspects in the mind. And when it lets go of the negative aspects of the mind, of course we feel a lot more peace and stillness, but there's also a lot more clarity in the mind. The mind, we can see things more clearly. And that's the purpose of these meditations, is of course, to have a pleasant time while we're meditating, not a time when we're torturing ourselves, forcing the body to be like this, forcing the mind to be a particular way. We are actually encouraging to enjoy the meditation. And the Buddha, of course, he described his meditation as a peaceful abiding, but it was very, very peaceful. So it's but this is something we need to encourage in our meditation, because whatever we enjoy, we'll do more of, and this will take us deeper and deeper into the meditation. And so this can be something that grows, that peacefulness, that stillness, and then that wisdom that comes from a clear mind, like the full moon coming out from behind the clouds. This is an image that we use a lot in Buddhism, actually, of the full moon coming out from the clouds, the defilements, the negative states of the mind, and just shining radiantly. Because, of course, in meditation, this is the deeper meditations, so we can notice lights coming up in the mind, and this is a sign that the mind is coming together, and then the mind will go deeper and deeper into the meditation and have shed all these negative qualities in the mind temporarily. But when we come out of meditation, if we see things as they truly are, that's what we say in Buddhism, Abbot of Bodhinyana, then that can take us into a stage of enlightenment, and then those shedding of the negative states becomes permanent by the time we become fully enlightened. This is what the Buddha is offering, and this is what Vesak is a reminder that enlightenment is possible here and now, and still is available for us, and that a teacher like the Buddha gave us the gifts, gave us the path to develop this deeper meditation, deeper wisdom, and the way to develop happiness in our lives. And of course, the more peace we have in meditation, the more happiness we will have. The more wisdom we develop, the more happiness we will have. And we will flow with life instead of feeling like life is not the way we want it to be, and all the demands that we make on reality, on life, that it stay the way we want it to be, and that we can attach to it, we can hold on to it. And of course, this is not on offer in reality. But actually, if we appreciate the nature of reality, then we will treasure and make the most of our lives and the people in our lives, situations in our lives, and we will develop the mind in states that bring a lot of happiness and peace and stillness to us. So I was wondering if there are any questions. There we are. This is the... Thank you, Ignacio, for looking after the session this evening. So if you have a question, you're welcome to come up and speak it into the mic, or stand up if you don't feel, and ask it from where you're sitting or standing. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. That's good. That's a test, really, isn't it? Because if people come up with very detailed questions, you think, well, they've probably been quite busy during the meditation, and it's good, that the only of course, the Buddha talks about the 5 hindrances that we can experience in meditation, but sometimes one of the worst ones is doubt. Am I doing this right? And this can, or can I do this? This is another doubt, isn't it? Can I do this meditation? And Ajahn Brahm, he would always say, no, we cannot do it. We have to get out of the way. Just allow the meditation to happen. And so this doubt is actually very derailing. However we are doing it, that's right. That's okay. I often say, we can't get it wrong. The only thing that makes it wrong is the doubt, actually, and that derails us. So, Ignacio, if there are any questions online?
Thank you, Ajahn. So we do have 3 questions from the online audience.
Right. Yeah.
And so the first one says, I have friends who are anti-religious and don't take me seriously since I've started practicing. In addition to compassion and patience, what's the best way to approach these conversations?
Yeah. Well, I think it is difficult because people often they have a negative reaction to religions as such. But I always find, if we talk about the things that we experience, the positive qualities we're developing, if we talk about the states of mind that we are encouraging, I think these things people can relate to. One of the things that the Buddha's teaching is mainly about is, of course, developing the mind in positive qualities and letting go of the negative qualities. We don't have to use, this person doesn't have to use terminology, because if you use terminology, then people feel like it's a brand. They don't want a brand, except if it's a designer brand. Designer brand's what everybody else wants. So this is important, talking about our common experience, because all these emotions, like the ones that I was talking about this evening, joy, stillness, peace, wisdom, understanding, kindness, compassion, these are all things people are looking, appreciate, and are looking for ways to develop in their lives. So this is a way we can, as it were, communicate it to our friends, but also very important with friends too is not to lecture them, not teach, because that is a tendency to, when people discover something new, they want to tell their friends all about it, and lecture them or whatever, and that's not much help. But of course, I think the thing that really has an impact on people is if you have these qualities, if you are kinder, if you are more understanding, more patient, more gentle, then that impresses them, and then they want to know more about it. So those sorts of lived, those sorts of results, those sorts of qualities we can develop, that will become what attracts people, and then they will ask questions themselves. So this is a way we can communicate with other people about our experience, because these experiences are what human beings are looking for. As the common experiences in our lives, often this is where the brilliance of the Buddha shines, I think, is because some of the common experiences in life, not necessarily these states, but the difficulties we have, and that actually can communicate quite well with people too, talking about the problems in life and how we deal with them, how we can let go of them, how we can reduce them. And this also can be very helpful, except sometimes people say, oh, Buddhism is so negative, it's so depressing. But of course, the Buddha's teaching is about letting go of those difficulties, those sufferings, coming to terms with them and going beyond them, finding happiness. So it's not about describing suffering in great detail and everybody getting together and saying, yeah, it's really terrible, isn't it? It's finding a solution to it, and that's the point of the Buddha's teaching. So you can approach it from a number of different angles, but I think, not using terminology and talking about our own experience is very helpful too, because then people can relate to it, and that may be a way to communicate with these friends, and in the end to respect the fact that, that's their conditioning, and it's a conditioning of the modern times too, of being anti-religious, and of course there are many things to react against, but also to just communicate one's own experience and talk about the common denominators in all our lives, all human beings' lives, all beings' lives, and then people can relate to that much, much more. So I hope that answers your question. It's probably sort of going around a bit.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Yeah, difficult one.
We'll just go to the next one. Sometimes I get intense anxiety and fear after meditating, especially with the deeper meditations. And when it happens, it makes me hesitant to practice. Could you say something about this? Right.
Yeah, that's interesting, because when the deeper meditation happens, it is almost for two things can happen. People can get very excited about it because they can really tell the mind is changing gear. And they can get excited about it, but fear or anxiety can also come up because it feels like, that they lose their self, this sense of who they are is going to be lost or threatened, almost like dying, actually. So this is a fear that can come up for some people. And it's not an uncommon experience, a feeling that people can have. And of course, it blocks going deeper and deeper into the meditation. So I think one of the most important things in those cases is to hear advice, guidance that gives you a feeling of trust, of safety. If you know that this is not going to harm you, this is not going to hurt you, you'll come out the other side and you'll really be thankful that you did go into it. You may not want to come out the other side, actually. But if you listen to instructions, like Ajahn Brahm, for instance, gives great detailed descriptions of deeper meditation so that we know the territory and he's guiding us in that territory. It's a bit like the Google Maps. He's a Google Maps, but you're not hearing his voice as you're meditating, of course, but it gives you the sense of safety and security that others have been there and they came out the other side very, very happy and perhaps with very profound understanding. So this is part of it, having some knowledge, but obviously it's building trust too. Trust in the process and also understanding the process very clearly. This is why the guidelines or guidance is very helpful. So building up that trust. And also I would suggest, at the beginning of the meditation, doing some metta meditation. This is kindness meditation or friendliness, I like that for a word, so that we feel safe and secure at the beginning of the meditation. Because this metta meditation, loving kindness or kindness I like, gives a sense of security and safety. That's the idea of metta and relaxation. So if you prime the mind like that before you go into a meditation that possibly gets deeper, it will have that tendency to carry into the meditation too, so that you feel safe and you'll feel that there's nothing to worry about. So I think these sorts of things can be very helpful, that extra guidance, so you've got a bit of an idea of the territory, will be very helpful. So thank you for that, yes.
Thank you, Ajahn. We do have
Just
one more
Yeah.
question that popped in, but I'm aware of the time.
Yeah, it's just 1 minute, so have to be a quick one.
Yeah, so...
Oh no, yes, 1 minute.
We'll do one last quick one. I don't really feel any particular positive emotions and joy during meditation, probably because of my trauma. Should I just let it be?
Yes, definitely. Not try and force it. If there isn't a positive meditation, a positive emotion there, just be with whatever feels whatever feeling you have, but if it's more peaceful, it's more positive, that is much more useful, just to even stay with the breath, just to seek that sense of refuge in the breath, just letting go of the past and the future, letting go of the trauma, that was in the past. It's not here in the present, and it need not be in the future. So that can be, and when we stay with the breath like that, it's quite peaceful, and it can be an oasis, I call it, or an island, from this trauma, a rest from it. Because a lot of trauma is like reliving something that was really, we couldn't process at the time, and we're still trying to deal with it. So just to have a little break in this peace or this stillness, just be with the breath, simply with the body, the moment, in this present moment. That's enough. Don't have to have these positive emotions. If they come, good. We're not here to manufacture them. So I hope that is of some use, because I think for whenever there are difficult emotions in the mind, to ground ourselves in the body is quite useful. Go for a walk, whatever brings us into the present moment. A bit of activity can be very helpful, and particularly if it's in a meditative type of activity, then the mind can calm down, get more peaceful, more grounded. So, and always to have kindness too, always to have kindness with that, Yeah, so thank you very much for that question. Yeah, very good. Because the meditation's about knowing what's going on in our mind, not manufacturing anything. Realizing, knowing is the most important thing, what we're experiencing here and now. All right, so thank you very much for this evening, and please come again. It's nice to see more people returning, and we can sit together on Monday nights, and there will be next week. That's true. Next week, you're all invited on Sunday. There will be I should first of all mention Friday night. There's from 7 till 8. There's, meditation, an introduction to Buddhist meditation here on Friday nights with a different monk who stays here, Ajahn Sadharo. And then on Sunday there will be another Vesak ceremony. If you're wondering what Vesak means, it's just the word for the month. We say May, but in the time of the Buddha they said Vesaka. That's why it's called Vesak, actually, it's just May. And so Sunday there will be a Vesak ceremony at the monastery, which is part of the Buddhist Society of Victoria. It's in Newbury, which is near, everybody says, where's Newbury? It's near Trentham, Daylesford, all those sorts of areas. And it will be starting at 9:15. So there's a bus that's going, but I don't know if that's booked up. Not yet, just a few more places, 2 buses going, and you can see the information about that on the website. And then next Monday night there will be a special talk at Malvern Town Hall, and that's starting at 7:30 till 9:30 with Ajahn Brahm. Ajahn Brahm will be here, if you've heard of him. He'll be here for the Vesak in Newbury, and for the Monday night meditation as well. Monday night talk. It may be some meditation, who knows? Be closed on Monday night, yes. That's good to remind people, actually, so people don't come and think, oh, why is it locked up? So you can see the details of that on the Buddhist Society of Victoria website. And the notes board, yeah, of course. Yeah, so the old-fashioned way. That's good. So we can finish off this evening by paying respects to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha if you would like. It's up to, if you wish to. Oh, that's it.